morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be in this whole wide
That's
world. Right
hilarious.
now, you're rocking with us, and we appreciate that. I am one of your hosts. I am Kareem Shon, and you can follow me on Twitter at Shon_Tillman. I am a digital marketing consultant with True Digital Marketing, and we are an awesome agency to help our clients from A to Z to brand their business, grow their business, and everything else in between. And today, as usual, I'm here with my team, and I'm going to pass it to my big brother, Demetri.
Hello, everybody. I'm Demetri Chambers. I am a business attorney and problem solver. I've been practicing law for 28 years, representing small to mid-sized businesses, from everything from reviewing contracts through business succession planning. And so I'm with a partnership. My partner's name is Kenneth Walker. He runs the Dallas office and I manage the Houston office. Glad to be here. I'll pass it on to Katrina.
Hello, everyone. I'm Katrina Keys. I own C&D HR Consulting and NIA 5.0. My ultimate goal is to make an impact one relationship at a time. I always say that I build relationships that last a lifetime. And the way I do that is through HR consulting and talking to business owners and leaders who care about themselves, their clients, and the relationships they're making. So in turn, it'll grow them. I've been in HR for 20 plus years, and you can find me on LinkedIn at Katrina Keys, that's Keys, or you can go to my landing page at katrinakeys.com. I'm super stoked, super excited to have someone with us today that has been a huge impact on me. Had the opportunity to meet him via LinkedIn, and I want you, Travis, to give just a brief overview of yourself.
Oh, wow. Overview of me. Well, I guess first and foremost, I am the Chief Clarifier of Fuzziness, and a lot of people like to laugh at that title, but I've actually made a career out of taking very complex technical issues and making them to where my target audience actually understands them. So it's not just translating it down to where any 5-year-old can understand. It's actually meeting my clients or my audience where they are. And I've been doing that, whether it's within business development, marketing, or health insurance. There's just a lot of topics that are really hard to follow, hard to understand. And I have this, I guess I was blessed with this unique left and right brain kind of balance that helps me understand the technical and yet be able to communicate that to whoever needs it. I really focus on tailoring solutions around people's pain points and their needs, and also whatever is available to put together the most optimal solutions for them, whether that's marketing, branding, and business development services, or in health insurance. And with open enrollment happening right now, this is a really good time for that. Make sure people find exactly what they need for them and their families.
Awesome. So we want to just start with, tell us a little bit about your business and kind of the day-to-day.
Okay, well, the business day-to-day, we have two main sides to the business. It's Lucid Pros, OCN, and I believe we're going to get into a little bit more about how that was started a little bit later. But we have two main parts to that business. One is the marketing, branding, and small business consulting, and that's actually why we were founded about 3 years ago. But we also do health insurance now. A lot of our small business clients were looking for people that they can trust and people that they were open to more solutions than just what they had to offer. So instead of being a commodity salesperson saying these are all the different options that I have, it's more of a consulting approach. It's figuring out what do you need, and then I help you find it, whether it's one of the plans that I can write directly for you or not. So that's what the business day-to-day looks like. Just very active, social media, online, engaging with clients both in person, virtually like we are right now, and also just engaging, whether it's on the phone or just via chats, and encouraging people as much as I can. It's definitely a challenging time out there for a lot of people, and that's where my heart is, to help them.
Awesome. Demetri?
How would you describe your best work? What are you doing when you're doing best work?
My best work is when I actually see a light bulb come on for somebody. Whenever they're looking, there's one thing to look for your options, whether it's trying to figure out what a marketing strategy looks like, or whether it's do I really need to supply benefits to my employees? Why is that so important? It's going to cost my business some money. Is it worth the investment? What does that look like? And when I can help explain them why most people leave small businesses is because of lack of benefits. And with what I'm actually predicting a big hiring boom coming in the near future, because this economic downturn can only last so long. I'm seeing it. I'm foreseeing some benefit here. And so when the new employers are going to be looking at hiring, they're going to be looking at the people who don't have the big gaps in their resumes, because the first people to get let go during a layoff period is usually the people who are not providing any type of value for the organization. So the new employers are going to be looking for those who don't have the big resume gaps. Well, if you're a small business and you want to retain your top talent, you got to make sure you're taking care of them. There's good tax breaks for that. And there's also a lot of very reasonable plans that are available that can provide more benefit to you than actually it costs. So the different weights in helping people understand the benefits and really truly the value and not just the cost of something, and just making sure that they're helped. The other demographic that I help that really looks like a win for me or success is back in 2007, or back, I'm going to go back a little bit further. 2014, I was in the oil and gas industry. I had already been there for 14 years. I was in there 17 years total. 2014, the price of oil dropped from $125 a barrel down to about 25. Now that means that the entire food chain starts drying up. They start going anemic. And so how do you support the entire food chain, the entire oil and gas global economy? That you can't. And so we started seeing people dropping like flies, companies going under, lots of layoffs happening between 2014, 2017. And unfortunately, the group that I was with, they decided to shut their doors from the offshore side in 2017. And so I was left looking without a job for the first time ever, unintentionally. I had to find something, and I didn't have benefits for my family. And they said, "Oh, by the way, your benefits expired last night at midnight." And that was rough. That was really rough. And me being wanting to be a good dad, right? I wanted to make sure that my family was covered. So I ended up paying COBRA coverage for quite a few months. And I don't know if you've ever calculated that, but that was almost $2,400 for a family of 5. How am I supposed to afford $2,400 a month with no revenue? Well, the answer is you really can't. And so a good success for me looks like finding gaps or being able to help those types of people. So for example, instead of paying $2,200 a month, which is what one of my friends was going to be faced with back in April, we found him something perfect, nationwide PPO, everything that he needed, plus dental and vision for his entire family of 5 for less than $1,400. What are you going to be able to do with an extra $800 a month? I mean, that's pretty huge. So that's what a good success looks like for me. That's really what drives my passion. If I can find ways to make sure people are protected, find what they need, and actually see the value and be able to get the value out of everything they have, that's really what drives me on a daily basis.
Let me ask a follow-up to that then. So
Yes, sir.
is this for individuals and for companies? You could write policies for either?
Yes, sir. So when you have 50 employees or more, you have to abide by different rules and regulations than if you're 49 or below. So 49 full-time equivalents or below, all the way down to a single person 18 or above. Those are who I can take care of.
Great. Thank you.
And I have everybody in between.
Cool. So I definitely felt this, I've been there before. I could relate to people who are going through a hard time. Most importantly, you have the know-how and the tools to really give people a break, man. And I really felt your story, and I can appreciate that. I remember looking into Cobra and, looking over at my wife like, nah, this isn't gonna work, and I gotta find something not now, but right now, like yesterday. I didn't know I was getting fired today, I need to find something from yesterday because she's looking at me, I'm
Sure.
looking at her. We like to eat, so I could definitely get that. But when you were let go from oil and gas,
Sure.
you what other ideas did you have going into this?
Okay, well, let's go ahead and take that step back then. Okay, so in 2017, I was 17 years into the oil and gas industry, marketing, business development, project management expertise, and a lot of proposals. So I was managing different groups, and so I was used to traveling internationally, seeing cultural everywhere, and just seeing the dynamic impact that it could have having a good culture versus a challenging or toxic culture. And that's one of the reasons why Katrina and I mesh so well, is because we understand the need for a good culture. But that was August 1st of 2017 where I got let go. And as most of you know, because you're here in Houston, 2 weeks later, we had this surprise guest called Harvey.
Man.
So
Yeah.
Harvey shows up, and thankfully, my house was spared. I didn't have any flooding issues. My parents were both okay, and my in-laws were okay, but a lot of my friends were not. So instead of having to ask for the day off, and my boss, I reported to the COO of the group, which was over in Qingdao, China. So instead of trying to get a hold of him in the middle of the night to ask for a day off, I could just go and help. And I can just go help people. The first house I went to, I had to wade through thigh-high water because my car wasn't big enough to get there to get to the house. And we were sweeping water out. We were cutting out wet sheetrock and wet carpet. And I was just following the lead of these other 10 people that were there already helping. And then we moved to the next house. And then we woke up and we did it again the next day and the next day. And instead of following these crews, they asked me to start leading some. So I started leading these crews, and I pulled out a whole group of youth, and we went to an entire subdivision, and we knocked out about 12 houses in one day. And then we kept going. And then 2 weeks into it, my wife looks at me and goes, you're not getting paid for this, right? I said, oh yeah, I don't have a job, do I? Okay. I said, okay, I've committed myself to this weekend. Let me finish off the weekend, and then I'll get back to this job search, figure out where we need to go from here. She goes, okay, that's fine. Just don't get hurt, because I don't know what this is going to look like with Cobra and actually having to pay anything out of pocket on top of just paying the dang premiums. So, okay. So I went out to a place over by Cinco Ranch that had flooded, and I forgot the name of the subdivision, but this woman had 47 inches of water in her house. It was a single-story house, and she was a widow. And so there was 4 of us that showed up on my crew, and then her brother and one friend were there as well, just trying to help. In 47 inches of water, when you have a single story, means you're basically losing everything. Everything in your kitchen's gone, because your countertops are 42 inches. Everything in your bedroom's gone. Everything in your bathroom's gone. We're helping her try to figure out what she can salvage. And I have 4 other guys there. One of them was a teacher, and it's summertime, so he's got the time off, but it was his birthday. It was his 30th birthday. And he chose to be there helping somebody else, giving back. And I said, that's a beautiful thing, buddy. His name's Joel. And so Joel was hauling wheelbarrowfuls of wet sheetrock and wet carpet from inside the house out to the curb. And there was another guy that was there. And he is a beautiful man. His name's Ed. He's 84 years old, and he still volunteers, and he still does work every single day for the community. And he was out there, and we already pulled down the sheetrock in the main area, and he's pulling out these nails one by one to make sure nobody gets hurt, nobody gets cut, nobody gets snagged their clothes or whatever. He's just following up, watching everybody, making sure they're good. And then we had another guy that was, he runs a ranch down in South Texas, and his wife is a realtor up here in Katy. And he just showed up to help. And he's in the bedrooms. He's yanking out wet carpet. He's on his hands and his knees. And I'm sitting there just taking a drink of cold water, because it's August in Houston. It's obviously like 75 and beautiful. It's like the gates of hell. It's 120 degrees what he did there. It was rough. But when I'm sitting there sipping on the water, I'm thinking, wow, there's all these different walks of life different nationalities, different everything, and they all just rolled up their sleeves for a common cause. I said, I'm supposed to do something with this. So my company is Lucid Pros, OCN. The OCN stands for Outsourcing and Consulting Network. It was never intended to be like a BNI or an NIA or anything like that. It was actually, I had the epiphany at that house where that widow, just helping her out. I had the epiphany of, there are 3 years worth of highly talented oil and gas professionals that are out of work looking for something right now. I know excellent marketing people. I know excellent graphic designers. I know excellent web designers. I know excellent technical writers, project managers, you name it. I know it. They're already in my network. So I started thinking, who needs our help the most? And that's really where I started approaching small businesses, because small businesses, man, some of them have the most fantastic ideas and for products and services, and they can carry them out, but there's always something that they don't do well. It might be financial, it might be marketing, it might be business operations, you name it. There's always something that they need a little bit of help with. And so using synergy with that network, I would bring in a partner for small projects here and there, whether it's a web designer who's looking to expand his target market base. He says, hey, Travis, I'm looking to get into restaurants and entertainment because that's my passion. I am booked up solid with all these construction companies because they're word of mouth advertising. They're saying, hey, this guy's great, but I'm a little bit bored. How do I expand that target market? Perfect. Let me help you. So he became not only a client, he became part of the network. And we kind of built up the network that way to where we were helping each other and we were doing all these projects here and there. And then the more we did that, the more exciting it became. But I started realizing that I was missing my work family, right? I was doing 2-day projects here, 2-week projects there with different people all the time. And I didn't have this common people to kind of build that with, celebrate the victories and actually build a foundation to move up. It was almost like reinventing the wheel every time. And so as we went on, I started getting more and more involved with an operational consulting company, and I ran their marketing and proposals for almost 2 years there. And we did some wonderful things. We expanded so many different markets. They went from their bread and butter of food and beverage. They expanded into mining and oil and gas and life sciences, and they were doing very well. They almost doubled their revenue in that time frame. They doubled the size of their organization. When you have really, really fast growth, a lot of times there's a little bit of culture that gets lost. And so along those times, I ended up stepping away from that and started focusing back on this full time. And as I was dealing with some of these smaller businesses, they started asking me, hey, do you ever think about health insurance? It's like, health insurance? You mean like the used car salesman that kind of just tell you whatever snake? Let me ignore this meeting or coming in. Sorry about that. Like a snake oil salesman? No, I really never thought about being an insurance salesman. They're like, oh, well, I said, why do you ask? I said, well, you've always met us where we are. You've never tried to sell us on anything. You always looked at what we need. You looked at our pain points and things like that. And we've never had an insurance person do that. Would you ever consider looking into that? And I'll be honest with you, with the pandemic that's hit this year, if it wasn't for the health insurance side of the business in that pivot, I would have a hard time having the lights on right now, because my small business clients are the ones that have been hit the most. They've been hit the hardest with this economic downturn. And I really do not see a political on either side of the fence here fixing that. And I've learned not to put my faith in people and just put on my big boy pants and do whatever I can to make a positive difference in the community. And I think that's one of the reasons why Katrina and I get along so well.
Awesome. So,
Did I answer your question? I feel like I just rambled and went all crazy on
No,
it.
No, listen, I was there for the whole story. I was walking alongside you. I saw the houses and everything you pointed out. I
Yes.
saw when you sat down at the table, you was like, hey. No, this was awesome, man. Thank you so much for the details. I appreciate it.
One of the
Light
things
bulb moment.
One of the things that I know we've talked about in the past, but I want you to share today, is some of the common misconceptions about, health insurance. Some of the common misconceptions about people, like you say, you talked about the salesman aspect of it. What's some other common misconceptions you found on the health insurance aspect?
Well, when it comes to health insurance as a whole, let me start out by talking about the people involved. Right? Your insurance agents are not the cause of all the challenges with the medical industry. They're not the problem. They're trying to be the messengers and help you navigate that, right? They're your guide, right? Shark-infested waters or a flat fan boat ride through Louisiana, watching out for the gators. They're your guide, right? They didn't put the gators there. They're actually trying to help you navigate all that stuff. And yes, unfortunately, there are some people who are not so upright that are in that industry, which is why I have a huge platform in saying, interview your agents. Find somebody that you mesh with and that you're going to get along with, because they should never just be a salesperson. They should be your guide. They should be there for you the entire journey. And so if you have somebody that you know, like, and trust, then you're going to be much more comfortable reaching out to them to figure out how to actually use that insurance. Here's just a quick stat that I find staggering and just mind-blowing. 67% of all bankruptcy cases in the United States are caused from medical expenses. Now that's pretty crazy in itself, but here's the really staggering fact. 75% of those people have health insurance. How can 3/4 of the entire majority of bankruptcy cases have health insurance and still go bankrupt? That's because they were either underinsured or they didn't know how to use what they have, right? The medical service providers make no mistake, everything within health is a for-profit business. Apparently, if you ask my wife, I am not a for-profit business. Because I send people the wrong way too often. She's like, you need to make more money. I said, I know. It's okay. We'll be fine. We'll get rewarded, and I've been rewarded for doing the right thing, so I appreciate that. So don't hear what I'm not saying. But there are proper fits that are already put together, and then there are proper fits that need to be tailored to fit your particular needs. And knowing someone who either has all of those in-house or has the partners to get that to you is invaluable. And what most people try to do is the DIY, go shop for yourself, figure it out yourself. I'm sorry, Demetri, I'm not a lawyer. I don't plan to know every single thing that there is to go with business law. And if I was trying to defend myself or my company, I'd be in trouble. I wouldn't expect somebody else to try to do that with health insurance. And that's why I am the Chief Clarifier of Fuzziness. And people laugh at that title still, but I had one client, he's a financial advisor, so he knows a little bit about money, but I walked him through it with him and his wife. And he told me afterwards, he said, my wife and I, when we got off the call, we looked at each other, and I told her, he said, I think that was the first conversation on health insurance I ever actually understood.
Yeah.
And she looked at him and she goes, well, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to appear stupid, but me too. Right? And so when you can break it down to where people can actually digest it and understand it, it makes a big difference. And sometimes it's not a good fit. Sometimes you have to find an alternate solution. But discussing a little bit, sorry about a little technical difficulty there, but we were discussing a little bit about misconceptions. And what I was telling you is a lot of the misconceptions, the users, the people who are insured, and they're looking to figure out, where do I go with this? What do I do with this? Why is it so messed up? Just remember that your agent is there as a guide. They're not the cause of the challenge. They're here to help you navigate. And if you have an agent that sells you and disappears, they're not your agent. You want somebody who's on that ride with you. You want somebody who's there to guide you. And that's what I love about some plans versus others. And I definitely want to keep politics out of this, but there's two very different sides to healthcare. What does healthcare look like right now? And I'll be completely honest with you. The ACA plans, they're great for people who can't afford health insurance, but they're not necessarily the best for people who can. So you're self-employed, you're a lot with something else, and I'd hate to see that they're forced into something that's not the best for them. What do those options look like now? How is it going to change for the future? And I'm sure Demetri knows this from a legal side. Shon, you know this from a marketing side. Katrina knows this from a HR standpoint. Things constantly change. Why should people DIY everything and try to A, be an expert in every situation, B, try to keep up with what's going on there? And that's what I love about networking. And this is where you and I really agree on a lot of things, Katrina, especially when we did that article series a while back, and we kind of bookended the networking. If you put the right expertise in place within your network, you don't have to learn everything. You put like-minded, well-intentioned, good people in your network that you can rely on and trust and do business with, and you become that go-to for them as well, right? It's like a team. Basketball just ended. I know we're kind of dating where we are in this particular time. Baseball just had their World Series conclude. Not everybody on the team is a pitcher. Not everybody on the team is a catcher. I guarantee you most first basemen cannot play center field, not because they can't catch the ball, but because they can't move like that. They might be really flexible, but I'll be honest, there's a lot of big guys that play first base, right? Everybody has their own unique place on the team, and it's the manager's job to make sure that they get the best out of all of them. Well, in this kind of teamwork where you have networks in place and the right people in place, it's our job to make sure that we're motivating each other. And that's where Katrina and I really get a lot of momentum going from each other, because we get passionate about helping people and how does that look and what does that look like? How do we not only do that in our everyday roles, but how do we bring that in elsewhere? And I got way off track of talking about misconceptions in insurance, but that's okay. Some other misconceptions in insurance. We were talking about statistics. So 75% of people that go bankrupt because of medical expenses are actually insured. Well, did they know what they were getting when they were uninsured? They are underinsured. Did they know what policy they were signing up for? Most likely not. They DIY it, or they steered the wrong way. We can point fingers and point blame. It's the same thing with all the 40 million people that filed for unemployment this year. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter whose fault it was. We can only do one thing, and that's move forward. So how do we move forward at that point? We can make sure it doesn't happen in the future. We can help each other, and we can also do what we can now to help people come out of those situations. So that's where I come into play. I help a lot of people. There's several people that need Medicaid assistance, and if I'm going to draw attention to one thing and one thing only for politicians out there, there is a Medicaid gap right now. So there's this small portion of our population that can't afford just about anything. So they get Medicaid assistance. They have their families put on government plans that are 100% paid for by the government. And then you have the ACA, which takes care of the vast majority of Americans who have to source their own insurance. They get subsidies based on their income level. So if a family of five, for example, might make a five-figure income for the entire family, they're probably going to get helped a little bit. If you have a single person who makes 20 grand, they're probably going to get helped a little bit. But there's something in between here and here. It's called the Medicaid gap. So if a family, let's take a couple that I know that I'm doing my best to help in Florida. They make about $1,800 a month between them because their business has been so impacted by this economy. $1,800 is too much to qualify for Medicaid, but it's too little to qualify for ACA. So they have to pay 100% full coverage for their insurance, and they can't afford that. How do we help them? So the only thing I can do is encourage them, take up another job, if you can earn, literally, if you can earn another $400 a month, then you can bump yourself up to this category, get helped. 100%, the government will pay 100% of your premiums. That way you're at least covered. But if you can't make that extra $400 a month, you're going to fall in this gap. And that's unfair to people. How are they supposed to be able to do that? And these are empty nesters. These aren't young people. These are people who have gotten up there in life. They're not to Medicare age yet, but they're still not necessarily young bucks that are running around with all this energy. How are they supposed to do that? So that there's a lot of things that we need to focus on. And the joke that I hear most of the time is, how come the Affordable Care Act plans aren't affordable? That's the kind of ironic joke, oxymoronic. And unfortunately, I don't want to badmouth anything that people are actually trying, but there's a lot of room for improvement. And if I can just get the ear of somebody in Washington to where they can understand, you're arguing about details, and there's so many other things that are putting so many other people behind. We might be focusing on the wrong things here. So how can we get that through? But having the right partners, there's Medicaid partners, there's Medicare partners, there's group coverage partners, there's ACA partners. Having those right partners to where I can actually guide people. If I don't know something very specific myself, I can actually get with these other people and make sure that my clients or even potential clients are fit in what's going to work best for them, so they don't become a statistic. Don't want them to become a statistic.
Demetri.
Okay, very, very good information. Can you describe for me what will be the best fit for you in terms of a customer or a client? And let me tell you how the issue comes up for me in my world. A person's transitioning, say, from being employed to having their own business, and I'm seeing it now with the layoffs. People are starting their business, or maybe there was a business that they had before that they're re-energizing. So that person now needs health coverage. Would that be a good referral for you?
That would actually be the perfect referral for me, Demetri, and I'll tell you why. Because what most people miss when they leave a large organization is not only the health insurance benefits, but the other supplements that go along with it. Most employers, and Katrina, you can speak to this as well from the HR standpoint, most employers, they want to attract and retain top talent by offering additional benefits other than salary. Those benefits include health insurance, life insurance, AD&D policies, some type of AFLAC benefit, dental and vision. And by law, if you're on even a small group coverage, the employer has to pay at least 50% of the employee's portion. They are not required at all to pay anything for the rest of the family, which is why a lot of people, even if they have employer insurance, they feel like they're bleeding constantly, because there's an old joke that I learned when I worked at a country club in college. There's a lot of businessmen that wanted to kind of rub elbows with the young guys and be a young buck again. So they would tell me things like, "Hey Travis, why is divorce so expensive?" Because it's worth it, right? So that's actually how health insurance goes. Health insurance is expensive because it's worth it. Would you rather pay $400 a month to make sure that you have a good plan? You can go see whatever doctors that you want. You can have whatever imaging that you need to make sure that we find things before they become a bigger issue. Or do you want to pay $150,000 to do a radiation and chemo treatment plan? So there's always a give and take when it comes to that type of thing. So yes, it gets a little bit expensive, but it's really worth it.
Thank you.
I think I got way off track again. I have a tendency to do that. There's too many squirrels.
No, that was very helpful. That's very helpful because
Yeah. Okay. So I remember where I was going with that now. I apologize, Demetri. Let me finish that just a little bit brief. So the reason why that's a good referral for me is because there are things out there that can be built for this particular demographic. They have personal, professional health and wellness benefits, as well as just health, dental, and vision. So it's like they get all those supplements from a large employer without having to be part of a large employer. And as Katrina can probably speak to, if you have a lot of expertise in an area and you want to go back into work for yourself instead of working for another large employer, you can negotiate a very good salary based on a 1099 employment contract because they don't have the same carrying costs that they would if you were full-on W-2 employee. Knowing that there's a good cost-effective alternative out there for your benefits and your health insurance, that means you can actually end up 10, 15% better off than you would have been as a direct employee. So that's why that's actually a really good referral for me. I can help them tailor those packages for them and help them understand where they are and find them on their own.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's on me, and I gotta say, in the beginning, I was a little confused because we were talking about marketing and branding. Then you mentioned something about healthcare, and then we said something about insurance and healthcare, insurance. Those things start to form gray clouds and confusion. And okay, where are we going to end up, and where are we going with this? But I would have to say, Travis, you have definitely impressed me. I'm a New Yorker. We're not easily impressed. I see you as a relatable guy, a guy who's been around the block, a guy that's all about his community. And man, if we don't need more guys like you in our communities across the nation.
Appreciate that.
You know, healthcare professional. You've been able to break things down to me in this conversation. That I wasn't even know where we're going to go, you know. And for me, being an entrepreneur myself, I see you as a source, not just a resource, but as a source. So the difference between a source and a resource for me is a resource. I'm gonna get a little bit of information in this particular thing, but a source. Look, bro, we could talk about website development. We could talk about social media ads and what they should look like, and then I could tell you about how, you know, my insurance bill is kicking my royal, and you know, I need some help there. So I'm really happy to have met you today and to get you a part of my network. When I feel like I'm really impressed by somebody, that impression doesn't leave. Right. So my last question is very similar to Katrina's in a way, but my question to you is, how do you go about leaving an impact and building relationships with people?
So I have a servant's heart, I guess you could say. I much prefer to serve behind the scenes than serve in the spotlight. And so what I like to do, people ask me all the time, if you don't like your voice, why do you do so many podcasts? Because I have 4 of them right now. People say, why do you have 4 podcasts if you don't? Because not a single one is just me. Every single one of them is about highlighting somebody else. As a health insurance agent, I want to promote healthy living. So I have, I know Katrina mentioned his name earlier, but Harvey Hennessy is a neighbor of mine. He literally lives in the same subdivision. And in addition to some of the other things he does, him and his wife actually do some physical training stuff. So we do a fit challenge once a week. It's called the Sugarland Level Up Fit Challenge, and it's intended to get people doing something. In this pandemic, so many people got shut in that they just became lethargic, stopped moving altogether. I'm included. In fact, I found the COVID-19. Just like the freshman 15, I found the COVID-19, right? So I needed to figure out a way to start working some of that off and figuring out a way to where I was feeling healthier, happier, and a little bit more energetic, right? So we're doing that from a physical health perspective. There's another partner that I do a mental health check with, because this year especially, I don't know if you guys have paid attention to depression and suicide rates, but it is a global pandemic and has been for years. It is the #2 leading cause of death for the ages of 15 to 29. And that was back in 2018. Now that we moved into this pandemic where people are actually being isolated and feeling more isolated because they're literally detached from other society, those rates have increased dramatically. We're just saying, hey, take a step back. Let's look at the difference between stress and anxiety. Which one of those can be a positive thing? Which one of those is a negative thing? Start being more aware of how you feel mentally, because that's going to have an impact on what you do and how you share that, and actually how you interact with other people. And we just finished up a series literally focused on suicide, because my close circle of friends has been affected a couple of times here in the very recent history, within the past 2 months. And it's not the people who feel like there's nothing left. It's not the people who actually act on that feeling that are the ones that are hurting the most. It's the wake of catastrophe that they leave behind. So how do those people deal with the survivor's guilt for missing the signs, so to speak? So we take some of that ignorance out of there, and we show people how to pay attention to things like that. And how do we uplift each other and make sure that we know that we're having that positive impact on each other? So physical health, mental health, those are 2 things that I do. Very similar to what you guys are doing. I started doing a small business spotlight a while back, which is highlighting just somebody who's either revolutionizing a product or service, or is just taking customer service, which is still is what I believe to be the #1 ingredient to any successful business, just taking customer service to the next level. And so highlighting their businesses and just doing very similar to what you're doing. And I greatly appreciate the time here, by the way. I know I haven't said that yet, but I definitely do. And then I had an epiphany while I was doing one of those recently, actually with Jeremy from Energy. So you'll have to check out that one. But I had an epiphany when I was doing that I'm working with so many people that have lost their jobs. Why don't I help them as well? So I started a new one called Hire My Network. So I take somebody who's job secure and I walk them through kind of an interview. So it becomes a video resume, and we post that out on social media and try to get them a little bit more exposure. I've only done a couple of those so far. There's a lot of people who I was surprised to find out is kind of hesitant to get on camera and get out there, even though I know that they're very, very highly skilled people, and about any organization would be lucky to have them. The couple that I have on there, one of them has hired since, which was a fantastic thing, and the other one has got a lot more interviews. So every little bit helps. And so anytime I can spotlight what I see as really beneficial and community builders, like you were mentioning there, Shon, types of people, anytime I can do that and share the love, that's what I'm about. And so that's how I'm trying to engage my community as well.
Very dope.
Thank you.
Hey, again, great to have you in my network. Look forward to a LinkedIn invite from me.
Awesome. And
I am indeed.
I'm sorry, Shon talked about the impact. That was my wrap up. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you for the connection. Thank you for your willingness to be part of this experience with us. And again, every day is a new day, and I always look forward to what all you're going to post, what you're going to share, who you're going to interview. Demetri, what you got?
I just want to say thank you to you. When we met about maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I felt connected to you then. I'm glad to reconnect with you today. You'll be hearing from me because I need someone like you in my network to be able to explain health insurance in a way that your small to mid-sized business owner would understand, especially people who maybe in their past, there was health insurance that was provided through the job, And now they're having to make a different type of decision as self-employed business owners. Someone like you
Very
can
much so.
explain it to them in a way that can help them make the transition and make the right business judgment call. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate that. And just speaking of my small business spotlight, I just need to make a last plug here. It's not only open enrollment for those who are seeking their own insurance, it's also open right now for Medicare. And so my last small business spotlight really included a couple of people. Number one, Brandon Hernan, that Katrina, you and I know very well. Also another gentleman, George Watson, that works very closely with Brandon. And I just want to make a point of those guys. If you have your parents, if you have older family members, if you have any neighbors that you kind of look after, that you want to make sure not only get the Medicare coverage that they need, but also the plans that are going to suit them the best. These two gentlemen are very, very highly recommended, and that's why they came on my spotlight. So make sure we're taking care of those who've always taken care of us as well.
I love it. Awesome.
And thank you for having me. I do definitely appreciate that.
Absolutely. So I guess we sign out from here, right? So again,
Who's got
Shon?
a dad joke for me?
Huh?
Sign up with a dad joke. Who's got a dad joke?
Oh, no. I don't make dad jokes. My dad life is too real to be jokey about it.
It's not
But,
funny, it's punny.
I will say this, life is amazing. My mom just moved here from New York, and we had an opportunity to sit in a room. So in this room was my mom with her firstborn being me, my firstborn being my daughter, and her firstborn being my grandson, which is my mother's great grandson. So that is a full circle of a journey of life that we've been able to just kind of look around and be like, wow, this is really happening. So I will sign off with that positive energy, right? We'll do that.
Okay.
So again, cool. I'm Shon, digital marketing consultant genius, always willing to help, and advice is free. You can, I'm sorry, something happened with my phone here because I'm doing that kind of recording, right? So you can follow me where I'm most active, which is on Twitter. I give really cool advice. Also on LinkedIn, so I am Shon Tillman. Digital marketing is true digital marketing, right? And you can follow us at our website, which is www.truedigitalnk.com.
And I'm Demetri Chambers, business attorney, 28 years experience. You can find me at www.walkerchambers.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can just call us at 832-925-8337. Thank you.
And I'm Katrina Keys. I own C&D HR Consulting, where I am the missing piece for your HR department. Or NIA 5.0, networking, building relationships with business owners and business leaders throughout the Houston area. You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can go to my landing page, which is katrinakeys.com. Or, I'm going to be like Demetri today. You can give me a call, 713-678-0468. Travis?
Yes, so the easiest way to find me is #CCOF. I am the Chief Clarifier of Fuzziness. I'm on both LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so it's pretty easy to find there. Also, you can go to the website lucidpros.com, LUCIDPROS.com. We turn the fuzziness into something clear so you can actually understand what you're walking through. That's exactly what we do, and that's why I'm here to help.
He's for real, y'all. There's no more fuzzy.
All right.
No more fuzzy.